Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today it is a special Memorial Day because it is the anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbour. And as somebody in the comments pointed out, it would be a great opportunity to take a look at one of the mid-tier premiums that I haven't actually checked out. And in order to do that, well, here is the Arizona. Now, the Arizona was a Pennsylvania-class battleship, and as such was kind of the immediate predecessor of the New Mexico class that we normally see at Tier 6. She was in Pearl Harbor when the Japanese were attacking, and the Japanese were actually dropping, I found that very interesting when I was researching it, were actually dropping converted 410mm armor-piercing shells. So they had a bunch of obsolete battleship shells laying around, and they decided to turn these into bombs. And they actually got some of their torpedo bombers to drop these things because they were quite heavy. And one of these bombs pierced the deck armor of the Arizona, and it detonated most likely in or right next to one of the magazines, which then led to, well, the whole forward section of the ship blowing up. And that eventually led to the sinking in the relatively shallow waters of Pearl Harbor. So unlike some other battleships that would actually be raised again and then used once more, the Arizona was damaged beyond repair. Her guns were unmounted and were actually still in use, but whatever they could salvage really. But the ship was just too damaged, and she actually rests there until today. And it is a memorial that you can visit and see the remains of the Arizona in the relatively shallow water. So, a ship with such a reputation and such a story, you'd wonder what they make of this in World of Warships. Well, I unfortunately gonna have to disappoint you a little bit, because the Arizona was one of these really, really early tier 6 premiums, and she's not very good. I mean, she's not bad, don't get me wrong, but let's get into some comparisons, because the obvious comparison we're going to have to make between the Arizona and the New Mexico being the Tech Tree tier 6 ship. So in line with the traditional way of how things are in the premium American battleship line, she gets the precise aiming rather than the rapid reload that you get on the Tech Tree ships. Other than that, as we see here, it's a Pennsylvania class, so it's actually the predecessor. The main difference between the Pennsylvania class and the New Mexico were the guns, because they're slightly different. The Pennsylvania still had the 45 caliber length guns, but we'll get to that in a second. And the first thing that stands out, she's got fewer hit points, but otherwise is, well, pretty much identical to the New Mexico. She is less maneuverable, and I would say noticeably so, because the 11.4 seconds turn time on the New Mexico on base is actually pretty good, whereas the 14.7, almost 15 seconds on the Arizona, not so much. Here we see it. These are the 356mm, or was it 15-inch? I think it's 15-inch. L45 guns, and these were replaced with the 50 caliber length guns on the New Mexico, which, depending how this is modeled in game, would mean that the New Mexico's guns have a higher muzzle velocity and probably more punch to them, but we don't know how these numbers are done in game. The one thing we can note is that they do the exact same damage, but have a slightly shorter range than the New Mexico. The secondaries are again, identical, only that she gets 2 fewer than the New Mexico. Other than that, they're completely identical. And the AA is better on the New Mexico as well. So the small caliber AA on the Arizona is really, really not very good. And she will struggle to defend herself against even sustained air attacks. The only thing she's really got on the New Mexico is a slightly better concealment of about 0.5 kilometer, but that's about it. Now, if we compare her to something like the Black New Mexico, who actually gets also the precise aim, and just it's 2 charges versus 3, which means you can easily bump it to 3 using the relevant captain skills, and she gets a defensive AA as well. And the Black New Mexico has a better torpedo damage reduction, retains the actual New Mexico's maneuverability, does have a faster base reload than the Arizona, and obviously again has a longer range. And still has, even without running the defensive AA, a significantly better AA damage than the Arizona. So the Arizona has been, well, reasonably power crept. I think at this point you could say she would be a very, very good, like you couldn't put her down to tier 5 because that would just be too much. But for tier 6 she would be needing a bit of a buff, really. So what have we done in terms of equipment? I have put the main battery mod 1 in here. You could be tempted to go with the mod 2, and it's not terrible. These standard class battleships are reasonably well armored, and you can usually get away with not losing too many of your turrets, plus you've got 4 of them. But 4 degrees per second base turret traverse is really, really dreadful, so you're not going to be getting an awful lot out of that. I am taking steering in 3, obviously, and I am taking propulsion in 2nd. You could try to buff anything, but the small caliber AA really isn't worth it. You could go with an additional steering here to compensate a bit more for the relatively poor rudder shift. But then again, it's a standard class battleship. The way you play these things at 21 knots is to find yourself a center position in the map and then just sit there and defend that. So this is not a mobile ship to begin with, and it's doable for a mid-tier ship. I have put a level 7 commander in here just in order to get the marksman skill. Other than that, it's relatively unsurprising. You don't need, I don't think you need 4 precise aim, and it's a precise aim 1. It doesn't make a huge difference anyway. So you can take the survivalist here instead, and yeah, just the marksman for the longer duration and faster cooldown on the whole thing. I do actually have put the historical camouflage on because, first of all, well, it is a very famous historical ship, and second of all, it's not super expensive. I think it's at tier 6, what's it, like 1,500 gold or something? It's not hugely expensive, plus gold is becoming a little bit more available than it used to be back in the day when these sort of premiums were introduced, where the only way you could get gold was to pay money for it. But today you get it out of the free Blitz pass, for example, and you get occasional offers where they sell something like 3,000 gold for $5 Australian, whatever that is in your currency. So it's not hugely expensive these days. So I decided to put that on, which gives us additional hit points, additional range, better dispersion, and better torpedo damage reduction. So keep that in mind that we are playing this with the improved values. In the elite bonus, you can choose between getting more hit points and more range. Given that she is deficient in range to begin with, I have gone for full-on range, which gets us to a grand total range of almost 13 kilometers, which isn't terrible, but it's also not particularly great. So all in all, still very, very average. Now, she is a very pretty ship, in my opinion. I like these. I like these older First World War designs on battleships, and like I said, she's not a bad ship, right? So you've got these 12 pretty hard-hitting guns with a relatively long reload, but it is only tier 6, so you can do something with it. But the fact just is that the New Mexico, and especially the Black New Mexico, are just plain better than this thing. All right, enough complaining. Let's actually get into some games. Now, I have found myself exclusively in tier 6 or 7 battles. I don't think I've ever managed to get a battle where I was top tier. So in the first one, we're in Epicenter, and you already know what that means, don't you? We're up against a Ryujo, so it's a carrier battle. There's one bot in there. Once again, apologies for the occasional bots showing up. The matchmaking is still very, very aggressive in cutting the waiting time in favor of more bots. So I'm struggling to get footage which doesn't actually include any bots even during busy times. So ignore that Nagato. We're up against Dunkerque, Bayern, Budioni, and double Farragut. So yeah, epicenter in these things. 21 knots is hurting. So what you would do, and this isn't specific to the Arizona, this is just how you play the mid-tier American battleships up, including to the Colorado. You figure out where you want to be, and then you slowly move there, and then you pretty much stay there, because if you're going to the wrong side of the map, there's little chance that you're actually going to make it back in time to make any impact. But yeah, this is where the range setup also comes into play, because the more range you have, the better it goes. So I am aiming for that little island there, so I was putting her in a straight line, and then getting the guns on target with still the reasonably slow turret traverse. Now, you'd be tempted to say American battleship, go for air support, and you can do a little bit, but like I said, she is outclassed. Well, not outclassed, but she's definitely if she's in compared to something like the New Mexico just has more power in there, and you're not going to shoot an awful lot of planes down. Let's just leave it at that. So we're going in to support our team. One of our battleships is going all the way out on the outside. I'm not sure if that was the bot. I haven't been paying attention. But it looks like our destroyers are not too keen to get into the center cap, given that that there is a carrier. And just scanning the horizon to see if there's anything I can start shooting at. Now there comes some planes, but I don't think they're focusing on me. The carrier is probably trying to farm the bot first. That's usually what they do. And there we've got the bot Nagato to shoot at, and since I don't have anything else to shoot at, I might as well just open up on that thing, and then we find ourselves something better to fire. Okay, excuse me, Icarus. Alright, there's the enemy Budyoni. Given that that's the only... What is our Ryujo doing? Oh dear, oh dear. The Budyoni is probably one of the main reasons the destroyers don't want to go to the center cap. So let's see if we can do something about the Budyoni from over here. And I mean, if the Ryujo was stopping behind the island, I would have said there's a ballsy but not suicidal move. But he decides to keep going. So yeah, I am going to try and punish that Budyoni, because Fubuki, you really shouldn't be dealing with that guy, and you're not going to torpedo him from over there. I mean, he's going to see these coming a mile away. So leave the Budyoni to me, and it would be grand if you folks could get into the capture circle. Now, obviously, actually hitting that thing, and I think our carrier is pretty much dead. I might just do away with the Nagato while the Budyoni is bow in, just so we get that thing out of the way. And Budyoni is shooting at me, which is good, which means he's not shooting at the destroyers. So Nagato is gone, and I would have said rushing, but that is a term that is generally not applicable to standard class battleships. And that's why you don't Damacon single fires, because carriers will flood you. Everyone starts shooting at me, but I am still gunning for that Budyoni in my just relatively slow speed, because he is still a threat to our destroyers, but that should be the end of him. There he goes, nice and gone. And now I am under fire from a Bayern and a Dunkerque, and the Bayern hurts. So the Dunkerque I'm not so afraid of at that range, but the Bayern is a different story altogether. But now that the cruiser threat is gone, our destroyers are seeing it in their power to actually make their way into the center cap. And the carrier seems to be focusing on me still. I mean, he has triggered a Damacon, so that makes sense to a degree. And he's going to try and get permafires and permafloods set. Fortunately, just one fire so far. That could have been worse. But you see, I've so far in this battle shot one aircraft down. So yeah, just ignore the fact that you're in an American battleship. You are not going to be doing an awful lot about planes. That's just what that is. But we do hold now the center cap, and if I can survive that next salvo, and I should be out of range of the Dunkerque, but not the Bayern so much quite yet. See if I can get away with it. Yes, I can. So let's get behind the island and get healed up a little bit. I should be out of range, and that means I can also make myself useful and get the outer ring and switch over to the high explosive, because we are still behind on points, but that Indianapolis seems to have an amazing amount of difficulty with the Farragut for some reason. So he is on low health, and I can heal up a little bit if the carrier doesn't kill me now, and it looks like the carrier has given up on that idea. Okay, that's a nice shot on the Farragut, but he is running very, very low, and I think... did he sink him? I'm not sure. He looks like he's sinking. Yeah, okay, there comes the message. Yeah, so the Farraguts killed the Indianapolis and now obviously gone undetected, which means he's going to come for me. But we are still behind on points and we're a kill behind. So I can take on... I'm out of range of the battleships, so I can sit here broadside and take on the Farragut. Now, don't underestimate these guns. You do need to pre-align them because they turn very, very slowly. But I have 12 of them and I've got a bunch of secondaries. So if the Farragut isn't paying attention... Okay, there he comes, and he is on very low health. So, secondaries out. Let's get the first salvo out. Precise aim up, and I think he just turned. So, yeah, that was only one hit. I'm gonna hold my second set of guns until he is perfectly broadsiding. There he goes, and that's a dead Farragut. Okay, and we're already in reverse the moment he was spotted. So these torpedoes are going to miss. And that's the Farragut down, which means we're now ahead on points, and we are still holding the center cap, even though we are losing the middle ring. But that means we do have a higher income, and I think someone else just killed something. So I think that hopefully is in the bag. Now we do still have a minute something to go, so that could still go either way. One of our battleships that was sailing the long way around, I don't know what it is, but has found the map border on the southern end of the map. And the carrier is still hammering that thing, and that battleship is guarding the carrier. So I don't know how... It could still be that we're going to lose both the destroyer and the friendly battleship. So I am heading down that direction again, using my last heal, getting myself back up to 15,000 hit points. I think the carrier... I should be almost in range of the Ryujo, and it looks like the Ryujo is stationary. Although this... I'm not 100% certain if this is rendering issues or if he really is stationary, but shots out, and we'll see where these go. No, he actually... I think he just started moving... maybe to dodge torpedoes the second I was pulling the trigger. Otherwise, that would have a nice flap in the broadside. But maybe I can still take the Bayern down. We have lost the destroyer, but we are ahead on points and we're having a higher points income. So this one is in the bag. There's no way the carrier is going to kill me in that time. And the Bayern is not going to do that either. So that should be... Yeah, there's the kill on the Bayern, and that is a game. And yeah, there comes the carrier, but it's too late to do anything about it. But yeah, one thing that really stands out there is the lack of AA that you have. And even New Mexico's AA isn't monstrous either, but you're going to do a little bit more than that, in especially if you're supported, than in this ship. But you know, we're still coming out on top, but it is hard work in the Arizona to do that. It is, I would say, in something like a Black New Mexico, that'd be a lot easier. But let's have another go, and especially around the find your position and stay there topic that I was mentioning earlier. And here we are once again being bottom tier, like I mentioned. And this time we're in a domination battle up against Fuso, New Mexico, a Fiji, Nuremberg, Leander, and 2 destroyers. So this could get interesting. In a triple spawn domination, or a triple cap domination map, what you really want to do is probably get into the center cap and stay there. Because if you're going around the side and the enemy team decides to focus on the other side, you're not going to do anything the rest of the battle, because there's no way you can get back in time. So as tempting as it is to sail over into A cap, I want to position myself probably inside B cap. B cap has a decent amount of island cover. And I'm just going to be a fortress in there. And send 12, 15-inch shells of freedom every direction that wants to do something about it. So we'll align the guns on the right side. And this is why, by the way, why you see me looking in a particular direction at the outset of a battle, because I do want to get my guns on target. And in these things, that takes a while. So I make my decision early which side I'm going to shoot to begin with, and then oftentimes just turn the ship around rather than the guns. Okay, there's a Fiji, so that's a good first target. He hasn't seen me yet because I'm unspotted. So precise aim up, shots out at the Fiji. Even with the precise aim, I mean, you're not going to have a huge amount of shells on target, but you can get lucky occasionally, and so that was not a bad hit, and that was a pretty lucky Fiji. Not to be hit a lot harder than that. But I've got a Shores with me, and there is our Westeros is, by the looks of it, trying to do something about A-Cup, but he's running into a Fiji, a Leander, and a Jervis, so that's not a good idea. Let's see if I can get a shot off at the Jervis, who seems to be broadsiding. I don't know, let's try. Oh, he just started moving forward. Darn. Obviously, I'm not super afraid of the cruisers, but the Jervis is a different story if he gets me and with those torpedoes. The Leander is starting to open up at me, but he's going to be behind an island before I can reload. There's a Fuso in front of me, and there's also a Skåne coming. So we've got all the attention over here. But we're now almost a minute in. That Fiji is nicely broadsiding, but still at this range I'm not going to be able to do an awful lot about it. He is going reverse. These are the Leander's torps. I don't think they have range. No, they don't. So another shot out at the Fiji, and yeah, once again, a disappointing result. But I have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ships to play with on this end, and the other 2 are on the other side. So everyone's shooting at me. But the Fuso has missed because I am not sitting still broadside onto him. And I can return the favor on blind. But yeah, the cruisers are not going to come in here unless they're suicidal. And as long as the destroyers are staying at distance, and my shores has buggered off. He doesn't want to be here. I do have support from one lonely Fubuki on this side. Oh no, actually there's another destroyer behind me. So, and there's Fiji again. We can start healing up a little bit, and he is, yeah, I think he's slowing down as soon as he sees my shells, but he still gets relatively lucky with the over-penetrations, because, you know, getting this all on target at the center of the ship's difficult, and the British light cruisers are notoriously weakly armored, so most of it is just going to go through. But yeah, I'm just trying to distract these guys, and at the same time dodge all the torpedoes that are probably going to come in my way. But yeah, there comes some more. That's why I was changing direction. I might actually take 1 or 2 of those, and there are probably some coming from the other direction. Okay, that was better on the Leander. And yeah, these run out, and these run out, and I've dodged the other ones. Perfect. And now it's time to go forward again, just in case, because their torpedoes should be about reloaded, maybe-ish. Especially the Swedish destroyers are reloading pretty quickly, so don't sit still in the same space. And yeah, the dispersion isn't doing me any favors. The Fiji is dodging most of those shots. Comes some more torpedoes. These are probably from that Skåne over there, but these are European torpedoes, so they're not hitting particularly hard. And I think I'll take 1 on the side here. Yeah, no flood, so that's all good. And the Fiji is still peppering me with armor piercing, but he's not going to be doing an awful lot from that distance. And the Leander looks like he's gotten sick and tired of sitting around shooting at me and wants to come for me. So I'm holding my fire here because you've got a 23-second reload, and 23 seconds is a relatively long time. So I'm not going to do anything to him bow in because my shot's mostly going to miss. But he's in secondary range, so I can start using the secondaries. There's also the Jervis coming, so I need to keep moving forward. And once there come the Jervis torps, and that's a better range and a better angle. But yeah, the Jervis hasn't calculated that I was going to go this way. So now there's the Skåne on the other side. He's definitely shooting at me. I just have to dodge the Leander torps. I might be taking 1 there if I can't get the turn in time. But I'm not sure if the Skåne has torpedoes ready. I'm just going to have to risk it because there's a Fiji behind me as well. So we're going to put her in reverse. Well, I should have seen them by now. And get some more shots out at that Fiji. I don't think Skåne had torpedoes ready. So the only thing we've got to worry about were Fiji torps. But we are at a good angle. So we should be able to, if push comes to shove, dodge most of them. Let's put her back and forward. And, you know, just don't sit still. And as you know it, well, the rest of my team is arriving. Fiji's sitting in the smoke. I can see where you are, but I don't think he's sitting still in the smoke. He puts the fire out. I mean, he has to because otherwise he's visible. Yeah, there he is. Okay, so that salvo might work. Yeah, that was a bit better. And yeah, if you're firing at ships that are maneuvering, it's often better to fire your your forward turrets and then your rear turrets, so you have more shots more earlier. And the Atlanta actually takes off the Fiji, so that's that. Yeah, this is what you do in a standard class battleship. And like I said, I mean, the Arizona isn't a bad ship. It's just that she's been an average premium to begin with, and she's been power crept since. So if you can get your hand on a Black New Mexico, that's definitely the better tier 6 American battleship. But yeah, if you're interested in the history of these things, and or you just want to, or you get it from a mission crate or something, then it's definitely not a terrible ship to have, but it's not really outstanding either. Anyway, I think I've tried to make my point here. That's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.